Imagine seeing water, just a little bit, coming from, well, from under the threshold of the temple itself.
Huh.
And this trickle, it doesn't just stay small. It grows incredibly quickly into this massive river that changes absolutely everything around it.
Quite an image, isn't it? A solid structure, the temple, becoming the source for this, well, this overwhelming force of life.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where we're diving in today, into this really remarkable vision from Ezekiel chapter 47. The prophet gets shown this amazing scene starting right there at the temple.
And our plan for this deep dive, really, is to go beyond just describing the river and, the land division stuff that follows. We want to dig into the details, look at how the miraculous and the very practical instructions fit together.
See what insights might be there for you as you read it.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's start where the vision starts. Ezekiel's at the temple entrance, and he sees water emerging from under the threshold. It's flowing east, which is the way the temple faced.
Right. And specifically, it says it's coming from the south side of the threshold, just south of the altar. It's a really humble beginning.
Almost insignificant, you might think.
Yeah, easy to miss. But then the guide starts measuring. They go eastward, away from the temple, and measure out 1,000 cubits.
Okay.
And Ezekiel walks through the water there. It's ankle deep. So it's stream now, but, still pretty shallow.
Right, ankle deep after 1,000 cubits. But then the guide measures another 1,000 cubits east,
Uh-huh.
and when they check the water there, already knee deep.
Just like that. And they go another 1,000 cubits, measure again. Now it's up to the waist.
This is getting serious fast.
It really is. And this is where it gets, well, truly dramatic. After that third 1,000 cubits, the guide measures a 4,000 cubits.
Okay, 4,000 cubits out now.
And the description just changes completely. It's not something you wade through anymore. It's a river. A proper river.
It says he couldn't cross it, right? Only swim in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Too deep to cross. You'd have to swim.
Wait a minute. So let me get this straight. In what, maybe just over 1.5 miles, something like that. 4,000 cubits.
Roughly, yeah.
This thing that started as basically a leak under the door becomes an uncrossable river. That's just an astounding increase. Almost impossible, naturally speaking.
That's the point, isn't it? The miraculous growth. It signals this isn't just, runoff or a normal spring.
Right.
This water from the sanctuary, it seems to have this inherent power to just expand, deepen incredibly quickly. It just overwhelms everything as it moves away from the source.
Yeah.
Beyond human control, really.
So this miraculous, powerful river, where is it headed? The text says it flows east down into the Arabah.
The Arabah, yeah, that's the big rift valley running south from the Sea of Galilee. It's the valley where the Dead Sea is located.
Okay, so it's heading towards the Dead Sea.
Yeah.
And it says it flows into the sea. Given the geography, that has to be the Dead Sea.
No question. And we all know what the Dead Sea is like. Extremely salty, basically lifeless.
Right. Famously salty. Harsh environment.
Very harsh. Not much can live in that concentration of salt and minerals.
But this vision, it describes something completely counterintuitive. When this river from the temple reaches the Dead Sea, the salt water, it becomes fresh.
It doesn't just dilute it. The text says it becomes fresh,
Yeah.
changed, fundamentally altered.
Wow.
It really shows the power of this water, doesn't it? It's not just adding fresh water. It's transforming the very nature of the existing water, taking this incredibly barren place and just infusing it with life. Radical restoration.
And the result is an absolute explosion of life. It says swarms of living creatures will live wherever the river flows.
Right, and specifically about the sea, large numbers of fish, because this water flows there and makes the salt water fresh. It's a complete turnaround.
And the overall statement, where the river flows, everything will live.
It's incredible. It pictures a whole ecosystem just springing up where there was basically nothing complex before. And it even mentions fishermen standing along the shore.
From En-Gedi to En-Eglim, it says, those are real places on the Dead Sea's edge.
Exactly. Places for spreading nets, suggesting, a real sustainable fishery. And get this, the fish will be of many kinds, like the fish of the Great Sea.
Like the Mediterranean.
That's the implication. Not just a few tough species, but a diverse, abundant ecosystem, like a major ocean, appearing instantly, all because of this sanctuary water.
That says so much about the kind of life it brings. Not just survival, but flourishing, diversity, abundance. Even in the deadest place imaginable, it's like nature itself is redeemed.
Absolutely. Complete redemption.
Though there is that one interesting little detail. It mentions the swamps and marshes nearby won't become fresh.
Ah, yes. They will be left for salt. It's a curious exception, isn't it?
It is. Amidst all this transformation, why leave some bits salty?
Maybe a specific purpose, or just a reminder that even in renewal, some things might retain a different function. It adds a bit of nuance anyway.
Definitely something to think about. Okay, so moving beyond the water itself, the vision also talks about the riverbanks, trees.
Yes, fruit trees of all kinds will grow on both banks.
And these aren't ordinary trees, are they? Their leaves will not wither, their fruit will not fail.
And they bear fruit every month. A continuous harvest all year round.
Incredible. And the reason is stated right there, because the water from the sanctuary flows to them. It's all connected back to that source.
And their purpose is clear too. Fruit for food, constant sustenance,
Yeah.
and leaves for healing.
So the river provides not just life, but ongoing food and medicine, complete provision, complete well-being, straight from the sanctuary.
It's a breathtaking picture.
Huh.
This tiny trickle becoming a life-giving, sea-transforming force, lined with trees providing perpetual food and healing. Radical restoration from the divine presence.
And the text just shifts completely
Yeah, it's quite a gear change. From that massive, almost cosmic vision
to something incredibly down-to-earth, specific, almost mundane, you could say. Land ownership details.
It's jarring, in a way. But the source is still the same. This is what the Sovereign Lord says. And now the topic is the actual boundaries and rules for dividing up the land as an inheritance.
So God moves from describing the ideal state of nature to laying out the social and legal structure for the people living in that renewed world.
Makes sense, I suppose. The land needs to be divided among the 12 tribes of Israel.
Right, and it specifically mentions 2 portions for Joseph, which accounts for his sons' tribes, Ephraim and Manasseh, getting their own share.
And the main principle, you are to divide it equally among them. Fairness is key.
And the basis for having the land isn't conquest, it's God's promise. Because I swore to give it to your forefathers, this land will become your inheritance. It's rooted in that covenant.
Absolutely. Then it gets into the real nitty-gritty, the actual boundary lines.
Yeah, this part reads like a survey document. The northern border starts at the Mediterranean, the Great Sea, and goes east past specific places.
Hethlon Road, Level Hamath, Zedad, Berotha, Sebraim. It even notes Sebraim is between Damascus and Hamath.
Right, on to Hazer Hadakon on the Haran border, all the way from the sea to Hazar-Enan along the northern edge of Damascus, with Hamath to the north. It's incredibly detailed.
No vague descriptions here. Then the eastern border between Haran and Damascus, south along the Jordan River, between Gilead and Israel, down to the eastern sea.
Which we assume is the now fresh Dead Sea.
Probably.
No.
And down as far as Tamar.
Okay, and the south. From Tamar over to the waters of Meribah Kadesh, then along the Wadi of Egypt, out to the Mediterranean again.
And the west is simply the Great Sea. The Mediterranean, up to a point opposite Lebo Hamath, closing the loop. Precise lines defining the physical territory.
It's such a contrast to the boundless, deepening river. Here it's all fixed points, measurements, place names, limits, structure, earthly practicality.
It is. It sets up a clear, orderly system for distributing the land to the tribes based on that ancient promise. Who gets what piece of this restored earth?
But then right in the middle of these very practical, almost administrative rules, there's something else, something really striking.
Yes. This is fascinating. It's about who else gets a share. It's not just the born Israelites.
It includes the aliens who have settled among you and who have children.
People not born into the community, non-natives who've made their home there, they get land.
Exactly, and the instruction is incredibly strong. You are to consider them as native-born Israelites.
Wow. Not just tolerate them, but treat them as native-born for land inheritance.
Yeah. For this most basic thing, land, belonging. Treat them as if they were born into the tribes.
That seems, well, pretty radical for that time, doesn't it? Land and inheritance were so tied to bloodlines, to tribes.
Definitely. It really challenges those ancient ideas. To be explicitly told by God to treat the settled alien as native-born, give them an equal stake in the Promised Land, that's a huge statement about inclusion.
About the kind of community being built in this renewed world.
And it says how, along with you, they are to be allotted an inheritance among the tribes of Israel.
And more than that, in whatever tribe the alien settles, there you are to give him his inheritance,
Yeah.
declares the Sovereign Lord.
So they get their share right where they live, within the existing tribal structure, not like sectioned off somewhere else.
Seems so. Fully integrated for inheritance purposes. It's a powerful image of acceptance, of shared destiny.
It puts this divine command for inclusivity right into the heart of setting up the new community and its physical basis. Not an afterthought, but core instruction.
Yeah, it really transforms those seemingly dry legal instructions. It brings in this element of, well, divinely ordered welcome for those previously outside the covenant community, giving them the same rights, same belonging.
So looking back at the whole chapter, you've got this amazing, almost unbelievable vision of the life-giving river from the temple.
Transforming the deadest part of nature into something abundant and healing.
And then you have these super detailed practical rules for dividing up the physical land, setting boundaries, creating order.
And woven right into those rules is this command to fully include the non-native, the settled alien, treating them just like native-born Israelites, giving them land and belonging.
It's this incredible mix, isn't it? The overwhelming, miraculous divine power and the carefully measured, ordered, and surprisingly inclusive framework for human society within that renewed reality.
It connects the divine ideal straight to the earthly social structure in some really interesting ways.
Which leads us to maybe a final thought for you to ponder.
When you see how this text blends that vision of miraculous natural abundance and healing with these practical, detailed laws for land division laws that explicitly integrate outsiders as equals, how does that combination shape your understanding?
How does this specific mix of divine vitality and inclusive human structure challenge or expand what you might think of when you imagine true restoration or, a renewed world as described here?
It definitely gives you something to think about the interplay between the two.
It certainly does. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Ezekiel chapter 47.
As always, we hope you'll go back to the text yourself, explore it, and see what connections and questions emerge for you.